I hear oftentimes that folks with a technical background make the best salespeople
Yeah.
because they actually understand what it takes to do the job.
That's the hardest part of starting a company in this industry is there's such a grind at the beginning.
But the
Sure.
solution that you're providing to the customer, if you're selling the right solution, that's going to be a long-term customer.
I don't care what I sell you. I don't care what the price of it is. I just want you to get what you need because I care about you as the patient, as the customer, as the client. And if I do that and they see the actual, genuine character behind that, well, the biggest thing that my dad taught me is it's not about the knowledge it's not about the product it's about the people If you're not doing those things, I think it truly hurts, your potential chance at being able to grow your business.
Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee Break with Jake. I see a lot of familiar faces on here, and I see some new names as well. For those of you that have not been on this call before, just to let you know, we host this call every Friday, most Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The purpose of the call is to bring together folks much smarter than me so that we can hear a little bit about their story and we can learn from them. I have found that the most important things I know, I've learned from other people. And so I selfishly host this call to pick your brains and learn from you. I appreciate you making the time to be here this week. Guys, I'm very excited to have with me today one of my favorite people, Josh Trim with Pennington and Trim. Josh is second generation in Pennington and Trim, and he's going to be talking to us a little bit about their story as a company and his story within that company and within the security industry. Josh, I'm so glad to have you here. Would you tell us, number one, where you're calling in from, and just a little background on Pennington and Trim, how things got started with you all?
Absolutely. Jake, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Honestly, an honor and a privilege. I watch these on occasion as well. I have to watch the playback most times, but it's always impressive to me the people you bring on and just the insight and input that you get. Like you said, it's always good to pick people's brain and try to figure out what works, what's successful for others. And so I'm happy to share what has worked for us and of course, kind of the history on everything. But yeah, my dad, Ed Trim, a lot of people know him. To me, he is the legend of the industry. He's the reason why I wanted to, start and do this to begin with. I've grown up around it my entire life. And so he started the company back in 1987. And so we're coming up on 30, that we just passed 38 years this October and working on year 39. And so watch him grow the company from nothing to what it is now, one of the largest companies in the state of Mississippi that's privately owned. I'm beyond proud of him, beyond grateful to be a part of his team. And this will be my 18th year working full time for him and alongside him. And so,
You
yes,
started
sir.
when you were 4 years old, Josh?
So, I know I look young, but I'm not that young. No, so I started the year after I finished up at Ole Miss. I didn't get to finish my degree there because I just found out real quickly school was not for me. I felt like I was wasting my time, my money, my parents' money, and any scholarship money that I had at that time. I knew because I'd worked the summers with my dad when I first, was in high school and that type thing. And man, I went to Ole Miss, and as much as I enjoyed it and loved being there, I just felt like I wasn't really getting a lot from that. I knew that the things I was learning there wasn't truly going to help me educationally wise with what I was going to be doing here. Experience to me is one of the greatest factors, and it was very difficult coming into a company at my age because it's hard to earn respect in at this industry when you're young. And I'm sure you know that because you started it young as well. And so it's difficult, but very much enjoyed it, and it led me to where I am today. And so love this industry, love being a part of it, and again, love following what my dad has built and trying to improve it and make it better and grow it. And it helps. It helps having other legends like the people that are on this call to be able to watch what they do and see their successes as well.
That's awesome. And that's actually a really cool, probably a whole nother topic of discussion. I talk to so many dads whose kids are kind of looking at, hey, what am I going to do what degree am I going to get? And it's, more and more now, I think folks are recognizing, hey, like a really
Yeah.
good career path, aside from even just the security industry or just,
Hmm.
services, right? Trades.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really, really cool. So tell me, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Your
Sure.
dad started Pennington and Trim. Tell us about kind of the early days of getting started and then
Mhm.
kind of how that company maybe the progression from the time that he started it to where the company was once you kind of got involved.
Sure. So when he started it back in 1987, he was actually working for another alarm company at that time. He was working with Mr. Wiley Greer, who is unfortunately he's passed. He was also one of the legends of the early part of the industry in the state of Mississippi with A1 Detective, and so Ed was working for him at that time. Was on call 28 days of the month every month, so he was really the guy for Mr. Wiley at that time, and so but he went to go do a job for Mr. Norman and Virginia Pennington back in '87. And it was the early part. They had just gotten broken into, and he was there doing their security system. And Mr. Pennington looked at him and said, "Son, you're really good at this. Have you ever thought about doing your own business?" And he said, "Honestly, no, I've never really thought about it. I don't have the money to start it, and I don't know that if I could." But he said, "Well, how much? I mean, how much would it take? How much would it cost to start this company?" And he said, "I honestly have no clue." And he said, "Well, I tell you what, write everything down, come back to me, and let me know how much it would take because I'm interested." And he said, "Okay." So he took the night, got a yellow scratch sheet of paper out, and wrote down every single thing he thought he would need to get started. He came back to him the next day, maybe 2 days later, and said, "I need about 10 grand, 10
Wow.
grand, and I feel like I can get the company started." And he said, "Done. I'll do this. Let's do it." And he said, "You're kidding, right?" "No, I'm not kidding. $10,000. I'll give it to you. But this is the thing. Two conditions. One, you're not my partner. You pay me back the 10 grand, then we're 50-50. That was condition number one. Number two, I'm not giving you a penny more. If you ask for a dime more than what I've given you already, this is over. This is done. We can call it quits now." And sure enough, he got the company started. They signed the agreement. He got the 10 grand, got everything he felt like he needed to get started. And that began Pennington and Trim. October of 1987, that was the beginning. And less than a year later, Ed was able to pay back Mr. Pennington, became his 50-50 partner, and the rest was history. And he just kept rolling with it. He put in his 60-plus-hour weeks every single week and, grinded. That's the hardest part of starting a company in this industry is there's such a grind at the beginning. And that's why I admire my dad so much. I know the hours that he put in, and it was a lot of hard work to build it up to what it is today. So,
I
but yeah,
wonder
it's a
if
pretty neat story.
I wonder how long into it he was thinking, maybe I should have asked for 20, like a 10.
Honestly, I love that story because there's no way in the world you could start a company for 10 grand these days. That just there's no shot. With the rules and regulations, the licensing laws, it would be very difficult. You'd have to take out a loan. I don't even know what you'd have to start at these days to be able to get a company up and running. It's funny, we've got someone like Todd Keller on the phone or on this call with us watching his story. He's very similar, starting with his dad and growing what started as an audio company into a camera company. It's people that started it back at that time frame. It blows me away. I love hearing their stories because it's like I can't imagine that kind of role. Like I would love to try, but I'm grateful and blessed enough I don't have to.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, thank God. It's so nice to be able to, I think that's the dream, right? Is that
Yeah,
you work hard, you create a foundation, and then ideally that foundation, whether it's in the same business or something else, right? That's what we want to
yeah,
do. We want to create a foundation so our kids can go be successful. So dad starts this business on a shoestring budget and a
yeah.
whole bunch of sweat equity to get things going. At what point? What are your earliest memories in the
Mhm.
business, and how did some of those earliest memories kind of shape maybe the way that you look at the business today?
Sure. No, that's a phenomenal question, and honestly, it's kind of funny to me because I almost quit. On day one and day two, I almost quit. I did not realize how difficult the job would be in the very beginning, and was not. I just got back from college, young and dumb. Just got my first apartment. Never even checked the Weather Channel pretty much at all. And so I go to this first day on the job wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and a pair of shoes. It's snowing that day.
Oh no.
And we are at a new construction commercial job site, massive place. And it's one of the largest women hospitals in the state of Mississippi. And we're there and it's snowing outside. And I'm bone chilling cold. Don't have a coat, don't have gloves, don't have a beanie cap. I'm freezing to death, whining and crying to my tech leader, my trainer at the time, and saying, dude, I'll call my dad right now. We're leaving this job site. He was like, you can try, but it's not happening. So I almost didn't make it, but my parents were very gracious people. And my mom took me to Walmart that night, bought me a brand new coat, bought
Amazing.
me a beanie cap, bought me, socks and everything to keep me warm. And I toughed it out, hung in there, and figured out real quickly that new construction and commercial job sites outside in the elements, in the cold, in the heat, it's not an easy job. People take it for granted, running wires and having to crawl underneath attics or, in attics and crawl underneath houses and seeing spiders and snakes and raccoons. And I can name it throughout the years. When I first started, now people have it nice because it's all wireless or it's gone that direction. But it's funny seeing what it was when I first started and what it is now. When I first started, we were primarily just doing security. We didn't do a ton of cameras, and we did a little bit, and we were with the manufacturer at that time that I personally did not think that was all that great. Then we ended up making the relationship with Spico at that time, shortly after I joined. And TJ, I think he's on the call as well. He changed my life. It has made my sales part of my job significantly easier when you have good partners like Spico and like Alarm.com. My sales life changed drastically once we made partnerships with guys like that. And but there's no doubt, watching it go from a fully hardwired style system to now we have so much IP and so much cloud-based product and so much analytical product. There was nothing like that when I started. It was like, hey, I want a camera here. Okay, no problem. It's $1,000 for that camera. Now prices have come down and we have wireless, we have analytics, we have this, we have that. It's amazing how much it has shifted since the very beginning, which is amazingly enough 18 years ago for me.
Yeah.
It's just wild, all the changes.
I hear a lot of times, because we have, for those of you that don't know, I assume most of the folks in the call are familiar with our Facebook group, Burglar Alarms Online. If you're not, check it out. Over 10,000 industry professionals in there. But a lot of times when we talk about hiring good salespeople, I always hear this, and I don't know it to be 100% accurate, but I think there's some real truth in it. I hear oftentimes that folks with a technical background make the best salespeople. Because they actually understand what it takes to do the job. And so, Josh, talk to me about that early experience that you had as a technician, and then, maybe your relationship with sales folks at that time, and then kind of how you've applied that now, or then as you were started doing sales, and now as a sales manager there. Sorry, that's a mouthful. I hope you got that.
That's perfect. So Ed was the sales guy when I first started. He was the only sales guy, the only one that we had. And so he would go on jobs, he would sell the jobs, and I would have to come back in and do the install. And I would always get frustrated with him because he would sell it incorrectly, or, no, I'm just kidding. No, it would always come to find out, you don't respect the sales guys as technicians. You're like, oh, they did this wrong, or they didn't see this, they didn't catch this. And so I always tried to learn on the technical side of things, so that if I ever did become a salesman, which I knew one day I would be, that I wanted to be the best salesman for my technicians. Because when you sell a job the right way and you have your technicians in mind, they respect you more. They want to do your jobs. They want to do the best they can for your jobs. That was obviously a very different concept for me when I was a technician. I didn't look at it from a salesman aspect. I looked at it from a technician aspect, and those are completely two different perspectives. And so you're 100% right. It helps being a salesperson now that I am in full-time sales. it helps all of the technical experience that I had for those, decade long time period of doing actual jobs, especially on the camera and access portion. Because if you don't know what you're doing, it can be kind of daunting. It can be very scary going and selling that style of a job when you don't know what you're selling. And so you go out there and you're trying to tell people about these parts. When they think you don't know what you're talking about, you're very likely not going to land that job. Now, I try not to go in and overwhelm them with part numbers and rattle off all these things. It's just going to go right over their head. I try to simplify it, but at the same time of simplifying the product, I like them to know how knowledgeable I am because of my experience in the industry and how passionate I am. I think passion is one of the biggest things you can do as a salesperson. Show people that you care. Show people that you want to help them get the best system they can. I don't worry about the money. I don't worry about trying to jack up a price. I see so many sales guys that try to, up the price and say, oh, you have to get this and you need to do that. I don't care what I sell you. I don't care what the price of it is. I just want you to get what you need because I care about you as the patient, as the customer, as the client. And if I do that and they see the actual, genuine character behind that, that's all I care about is getting you what you want. And I'll give you my advice and recommendations. And I'm knowledgeable about what I'm giving you or what I'm selling you. It's a win, not every time, but almost every time. I would like to say, and I don't say this braggingly, but my close ratio is pretty dang high. And it's because I don't care about the money I make. I don't care about the commissions. I don't care about how big the systems are. I care about the customer getting exactly what they want and me giving them the best advice possible to get them there.
I think that's such an important piece of successful sales, right? Is when you're selling solutions, right? It's not selling to maximize, obviously incentives are important and we want to make sure our salespeople are incentivized properly and they'll do what they're incentivized to do. But the solution that you're providing to the customer, if you're selling the right solution, that's going to be a long-term customer. That's going to be a customer that stays and pays and refers other folks to you because you didn't oversell them, you didn't undersell them, you sold them what they need, right? You mentioned it somewhat, I think, tongue-in-cheek, early on, hey, maybe Ed had sold something in a way that you had it, maybe you found that wasn't exactly how you might have done it early on, right? Now, there's the dynamics of technicians and salespeople and salespeople and technicians and managers. And then there's this really special dynamic, I think, of the second generation and the first generation in the business, right? Not the conversations that might happen, in the conference room, but the conversations that might once in a while happen at the dinner table, right? Talk to me about the communication. Like, do you think that having the ear of your folks early on, do you think that helped you guys kind of figure out, number one, maybe Ed sold it right and you just needed to do a better job installing it, or maybe he didn't know exactly what you guys might run into? How do you guys how do you guys kind of, or early on, how did you handle that communication to make sure everything was working well for the company and the customers?
So that's probably one of the trickiest topics, honestly, because it honestly, in the very beginning, it didn't start well. I was very headstrong, very young, very stubborn, thought I knew everything, obviously, like most, older teenagers, young adults do. And so I had my ideas of what we needed to be doing, what we should be doing, and felt like I was very insightful and could see the future and, things of that nature. And so, me and my dad originally, we butt heads a lot. And obviously, because at that time, I'm getting back from college, I would still spend a good bit of time with them because I was borderline broke, didn't have any money, wasn't making a lot, working for them starting out, obviously. And so
sounds like being in the distribution business.
Yeah, I know, right?
I felt that right here.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where, you're at dinner, you're on vacation with each other, you're watching a ball game, work comes up. You're, trying to sit there and enjoy a family meal, work comes up. Oh, did you take care of this customer today? Hey, how did you do this install? Hey, did you do this while you were there? Did you put signs out? all of those, simple things. But it was very difficult to navigate. But I got to be honest, Jake, I'm beyond grateful. Like I said, this is year 18. I don't know that me and my dad have ever had or have a better relationship now than we ever had before. we've learned to navigate when is okay to talk about work, when to talk about other things that we're very passionate about, whether it be fantasy football or cooking or, places that we want to go check out eating wise, or travels, vacations, reminiscing on the past, whatever the case may be. We figured out a better dynamic on how. Now, does it still come up? Yes, it's going to. That's part of working with your family. But I'm extremely grateful because my mom is also in the company, and so for both my mom and my dad to be a part of it, and it has at times been a three-ring circus of, well, she said it was okay for me to do this, and he said it was okay. So it's tough to navigate. But I'm so blessed, man. We love each other. We don't argue barely at all anymore. He's learned to kind of respect and trust some of my decision making. I mean, he tells me all the time, Josh, if it has anything to do with access or cameras, it's all you. I don't care. You can tell me, but it's your call. It's your choice. And that means the world to me, because it used to not be like that. It used to be like, I don't get to make any decisions. It's not my call. My input doesn't even matter. That was the beginning stage, and rightfully so. He started the company. He knew what he was doing. He had the insight for what's going to come in the future. And slowly but surely, I started to pick up on those things and learn from him. And as a young adult, we need to do a better job of learning and being patient and respecting our elders that have been there, have done that, and have the knowledge. We tend to not do that. And I think what you're doing right now with, being able to do these type of episodes, it allows these young guys in the social media aspect of things to see, hey, this is what's working for these other, successful business people. And so that's one reason why I love it so much. But man, yeah, it's tricky working with your parents or working with family as a whole. I'm a big fan of watching second generation guys. Taylor Sears, he's a good buddy of both of ours. And I love picking his brain. I think he's one of the smartest and, honestly, just a genius in our industry at his age. And because he's younger than me. And it's fun watching how he does things, and other people similar to that same age, picking each other's brain and learning how we do it. When you're a second gen person, that goes a long way. Because it's not easy. People think that you've had everything spoon fed to you and that you didn't work hard for it and you didn't earn it. Buddy, I put in multiple 60-hour weeks, and I grinded. I crawled underneath houses. I got into the attics. I did all the things that pretty much anybody else did, and I also had to go home with it.
And without a coat,
without a coat on day one, yeah. So yeah, my advice is be patient. To all these youngsters that are coming in, I don't know why I just said youngsters. That makes me feel old. To all these young guys coming in that are all these whippersnappers that think that they know everything. You don't. You may think that you do. I know I did. It's good to have insight. It's good to know. I felt like I knew a lot. I really didn't. It takes time to learn it. My best advice is continue to grind, earn people's respect, earn people's trust, make them see that you're a hard worker. Don't come off as lazy. Don't come off as the guy that, oh, you're the boss's son. You're not willing to do anything. Don't be like that. Be the hardest worker there. Outwork everybody. Stay later than everybody else at job sites. Get there first in the mornings. Don't show up late. Don't miss work as much as you possibly can. Put in the time. Do the things that are the intangibles, because people see those things. And it may be hard in the beginning, but it's worth it. And it took time for me to get that reputation and that respect and earn all of that, but it was well worth it in the end.
So there's some folks on the call that might have, maybe they already have second generation adult children working in the business. Maybe they're at a period and, they're recognizing that down the road, they might have next generation leaders within the business. What advice would you give to those parents, right? Like, what has really helped you? What have your parents done to help you kind of grow into your role?
So I think the biggest thing is make sure to have honest, open conversations about goals. If there's no goal structure, if there's nothing in place saying, hey, this is where kind of I want to be, this is what level I'd like to be at, this is what I want to know, these are the certifications that I want to go get to help the company improve, I think that's the biggest thing. My mom was always a very big vision board person and goal setter, and so she helped a lot with that. My dad also is very big about saying, hey, I need you to know this. I need you to be here so that I can hand this next thing off to you. I also think it's a big part to make sure you're doing a good job of delegating. Make sure that they feel like, hey, you're handing stuff off to me because you trust me. That is the biggest thing for a second gen. If they don't see the future, if they don't see the impact of them potentially taking over one day, sometimes they get bored out and they leave. They want to go find something else. If you truly want to make it work, make it happen, you have to show that you're investing into them and into the future of them eventually taking over. And the only way to do that is to be able to delegate things. It needs to be little by little. You don't just
Sure.
pass everything off to him. My dad, I feel like, has done an exceptional job of being patient, giving things to me as he sees fit, making sure that I'm ready for it. Some things I did have to just learn trial by fire. But the bottom line is that they've done a great job of grooming me. I felt like, if something ever happened to my dad, which I told my dad, I was like, dude, don't retire. I don't want you to retire. Stay a part of the company. Even if you take time off and go travel and whatever, be involved, but be involved in a lesser way if you want to, but just don't retire, because I feel like that's the time where you start to kind of fade away. Your body, you're not as active. You're not out doing things with your brain. So I was like, dude, stay active, stay helping. I love my role. You can continue to let me increase it if you want. But the bottom line is that if something were to happen to him, which I hope it doesn't, but if it did, me and my mother feel very confident that we could continue things on in his legacy and continue to, grow the company. I'd hate it. It would be very difficult. I've already told my mom that'll be one of the hardest times in my life. But at the same time, it's like, you have to be prepared. He's done a phenomenal job in preparing me. And so, my biggest advice portion is continue to delegate, continue to give things that you feel like you can trust that younger generation with, and continue to sit down with them. Make sure you take them on trade show trips. Some of my best memories with working with my parents is going to New York and spending time with the Spico family, going to ISC East at the Jacob Javits Center, spending an absolute fortune in downtown on eating food because it's overpriced, standing in a corner outside of a Modell's sporting goods store, freezing to death because our luggage got lost on a plane. We had no clothes.
Man, we got to get you a coat and a backup coat.
I apparently coats are my thing. Yeah, I don't know. But some of the best memories I have with my parents are going on those trips to trade shows with ISC West, ISC East, partner summits, things of that nature. And so I highly recommend, even though it's a bit pricey, it's worth taking your second gen kids, to those trips and show them the power of networking. Well, the biggest thing that my dad taught me is it's not about the knowledge, it's not about the product, it's about the people, TJ's on this call. I've known TJ for the majority of my working professional life here at P&T. I mean, he was there from the very beginning. And anytime I had a question, I know I could call him and he would answer and he'd help me. It's people like that, even you, I've had to call you very rarely because you guys never seem to mess up at SS&Si. I don't know how, but y'all are great. Knock on some wood, right? You guys are amazing, but I know for a fact if I needed something from a manufacturing distribution standpoint, you would be there and you would help me. It's about the network you build. It's about the people you know. When I go to ISC West, I set up lunches. I set up meals. It's not about the product. I love seeing the product. It excites me. I'm passionate about it. But it's more for me about the lunches and the dinners and the people you spend time with. I mean, I go and eat dinners with the Spico group, and it's one of my favorite meals throughout the year because of the people and the people you get to spend time with. I go and eat dinner with some of the CMS crew who we do our monitoring with, and it's just, you build like almost a commercial family to a degree. And I know I could call any of those guys and they would help me with whatever I needed at that time, because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's one of the most valuable things my dad ever taught me.
It's so good. I want to unpack a few things there because I think there's some
Sure.
really good things that people might miss in what you said. Number one, you talk about delegation. And I always think, this is one of the toughest things for me as an outsider watching sometimes the dynamics of a lot of the family businesses and small businesses that we do business with. There's delegation, and when you delegate something, you have to have trust in that person to do it.
Yeah,
and
don't
you have
micromanage.
to be able to give them the ability to fail a little bit too, right?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Sometimes things are going to fail, and if it doesn't go right, not absolutely kind of losing it when it doesn't go right. So, and I also want to point out that there's a difference between delegation of responsibilities and abdication of responsibilities, where you're just you want to be able to hand this off to somebody. You're still somewhat overseeing and responsible, but not micromanaging, as opposed to just never being around, never making decisions. And then oftentimes, and I'll see this sometimes, they leave somebody to make the decisions. They don't make those decisions the way they would have. And so they're not happy with it. So just for those of you that are on the call, whether this is leading family members or just leading your people, right? They don't have to be related to you for
Yeah.
this to hold true. When you delegate, you have to have some trust there. You do want to have some level of oversight. I also want to point out, you talk about, and I think this is so important for the folks that are on the call that have kids, whether you think they're going to be in the business or not. Josh talks about going to trade shows and going to these conferences. Some of my very best memories, going to conferences, going to trade shows. I, as the Javits Center, going to the First Alert conferences back in the day. But even little things, I don't know if your dad ever, if you guys did this, but I never understood why my dad would take me to lunch with random business people and bankers and things. And I'm a 12-year-old kid. And I'm like, what's the point of this? And Josh, tell me if I'm wrong. I think what they were trying to do, not so much, it wasn't even so much about us necessarily having a relationship with that person, but knowing how to build relationship with people and knowing how to have those types of meetings. Would you find some?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sometimes it was, when I first started, it was almost kind of scary. I'm a people person. I love people, but I also am very much a relationship person. And when I have a relationship with someone versus someone I don't have a relationship with, it's like you almost feel like, oh, this could be awkward. I don't want to go to lunch with that guy. I don't know him. Whereas if it was Jake, I'm like, oh, absolutely, I'll go to lunch with Jake. I know Jake. I could talk to Jake for hours. Whereas if it's somebody like just yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, I went to lunch with a guy who's relatively, he's not new to the industry. He's been in it for a while, but he's new to this territory. And I have never really sat down and had more than a handshake and a couple of words with him. In my early days of this company, that would have frightened the mess out of me. I don't know why. I'm a people person. I went to public speaking for college. I mean, like it should be first nature for a business owner to be able to go sit down and have lunch and be with anybody. That to me used to be so scary. And over time and experience, I've learned that, dude, be willing to go to lunch with anyone. Be willing to create a network with anyone. Yes, they may be trying to sell you something that, you're like, I'm not interested. I have to tell people all the time, I'm sorry. I love who I'm with. I love the cameras I use. I love the access I use. I'm not switching. I'm not even interested. But then there are products that I am interested in switching in. And, I'll talk to them and say, hey, I'm interested to look at it. But yeah, going to lunches with people, don't let that intimidate you. And my dad, he was always very good about that. He would say, oh yeah, let's go to lunch, or it doesn't even have to be lunch. Just come to the office. Let's sit down and have a conversation, whatever the case may be. But trying to learn not to have an awkward situation and being personable, that's not a trait that you can easily just hand off to somebody. It grows, it gets better. And some people just are not good at it. But, I'm glad that I learned that well from my dad. And I think you nailed it on the head. Going to trade shows. I remember in the early days, I'd go to the ADI Expo in Alabama, and it was in Gulf Shores at the state park hotels.
Sure.
And I remember going in that trade show thing and just kind of walking around, and I'm just like, God, there's so many people here. And I was kind of scared of it all, but I would be in shock and awe of my dad. He would just go up to pretty much anybody, shake their hand, to have a conversation with them. And I'd ask him after we finished up, I'd say, Dad, who was that? Oh, he'd say, oh, son, I don't know. I was being nice and shaking his hand and talking to him. I was like, and I had to learn that real quick. It's like, you're not going to know everybody, but that doesn't mean you don't shake their hand, have a conversation with them, be a genuinely good person. And just because you don't know somebody, not shake their hand. And so many people are like, dude, your dad, they'll tell me, he's like, your dad's a rock star. Like he can work a room. And I'm like, yeah, that's where I learned it from. It's like, you have to be able to work a room. You have to be able to shake hands and try to remember names. If there's one other thing I would tell people as up and coming second generation, try your absolute best to remember names, remember, things about them, remember who they work for, what they used to do. when you can do that type of stuff, and then you see them once in a blue moon and you remember their name and shake their hand and you can remember your last conversation, that goes such a long way. And it's like they want to have a relationship with you. They want to build that network connection. I think that makes a big difference when it comes to building your network up. So,
Yeah,
which is crucial.
absolutely. I want to dig a little bit into, because I think in a world where we just see so much consolidation. I mean, every day it seems like another alarm company is getting bought out. They're getting bigger and bigger. Talk to me about the Pennington and Trim difference, right? So what is it about Pennington and Trim? And I see some things, and I'll let you get to it, but I want to point out,
Sure.
I'm so amazed by the involvement that you all have in your community. Like I see it. As a third party, 1,000 miles away, I can see Pennington and Trim is plugged in and supporting their community. Talk to me about the difference, why people do business with Pennington and Trim and respect you within your community.
So I have to give my dad and really even my mom, I'd probably give more credit to my mom on this. We do for local company as a whole, the whole company. We shut down for the entire day and go do a mission trip in the community, whether that's at an animal rescue fund, whether that's at Ronald McDonald Foundation, whether it's at the Children's Methodist Hospital, whether it's going and delivering goodie bags to first responders, police, fire, things like that, because we appreciate everything they do. Whether it's going, and doing the mustard seed, which is a place for Down syndrome where they do a lot of stuff on property, things of that. We love being involved, not just in the community, but doing good public works, because it's important to do that. It's important to give back to your community. And it obviously, yes, it helps with business. It helps with people, learning, hey, this is a good in-based community, project and a good company that does those type things. But we don't even do it for that. I mean, our mission statement is we make money in order to spread the gospel around the world. And we try to do it with the spirit of excellence while at the same time protecting life and property. And that's been our mission statement since day one. Ed and Dana, my parents, I give them a lot of props. Shutting down a business for a whole day, 4 times a year, that's money that we could be making. We could be going and doing jobs, but they are willing to take time away so that we can build team together, because some of our members don't always interact with each other, see each other. We've got almost 30 people. And so it's a good time for them to be able to get to know each other better, spend time with each other. We do team building games. We do bonuses like time off bonuses and things like that. It's a really good time for us to do that and gel together. But being out in the community and doing those type things, I have a lot of great memories of going out and doing things. One of my favorites is going to the Mississippi Food Network. They're also a client of ours, but we get to pack boxes of all the food and different items, and it feeds homeless people in the city of Jackson, which unfortunately there are a lot. And we did over 1,200 boxes one year. And I was like, that makes a big difference, not just for our company going and doing that, but for families that have no food. And so it's very rewarding, and I love that we do it. That is something that will continue long after my parents are out of the picture. I'm a firm believer in that. We continue to support missionaries around the world. Some of the people on this call have actually helped and donated with us on some of that. And so, we're extremely blessed, extremely grateful to be able to do those type things. I'm proud of my parents. They're very involved. My dad used to do this chili cook-off in the city of Flowood where we're based, and people loved him for it because he took his name out of the drawing to try to win, because he broke the rules, and he would cut up little pieces of filet mignon and he would put it in the chili. It wasn't regular chili. It was filet mignon chili. He called it honey bun chili because it cost well over $100 to make all of it. But with that being said, he's always been big. He used to cook at my school and build a network with all the people at my school. And the more involved you are in your community, the more you're going to be able to build your network of clients, because people want to do business with people that they know within their community. That's just the bottom line. He taught me that a long time ago. Yes, it's an investment in your time, but it's a very worthy one. So I'm a big fan of it.
I think it's such a good point, right? I think there's so many small business owners that they put their head down, they're grinding, they're focused on their business so much,
Yeah.
and they don't understand why they can't grow. That you hear about this, they're lonely, they've got nobody to talk to. And I think that if they look up and they look around and they'd see, who else they might be able to help in their community, who they might be able to connect
Hmm.
with, to your point, you know, not only is that good for the team, right? Like I
Yeah.
imagine, and can you speak to that? What is your team? How does it make your team feel when you guys do these types of things?
Some of them are like, oh god, another one of these kind of, because we do some corny
Okay.
stuff on these. I'm not gonna lie, there are some corny moments where we do some games and you're like, oh gosh, what kind of game is this? But we do it again to help build team chemistry. I think a lot of them really love it because we don't just do breakfast and lunch and all that stuff, but normally we'll do like spotlights, like we'll highlight one person in our staff as like it's their 15-year anniversary or 10-year anniversary or 5-year anniversary, and they'll get bonuses, and we'll go around the room and say something nice about them or roast them or whatever you want to call it. And so it's just a good moment for us to all spend time together, because not everyone again gets to see each other, and some people don't even jive well with each other, but it's an opportunity for them to potentially be able to get closer, draw some of those gaps. I do think a lot of our staff loves going out and being a part of the community and helping. We've even had some people that don't work for us say, "Hey, when's the next time you're all going? Can I come too?" Like, I mean, maybe, So it's a really cool deal. I'm again really glad that we do it. I think most of our staff like it too. There are some that I think would probably rather be working, but I mean, we pay our employees a full day to
Nice.
not have to necessarily work, but instead just give back to their community. And so I'm hopeful that everybody really truly appreciates that, because it is, again, it's a day that we could be doing something different and making money, but we just think it's a very, not, I like to say the word noble, but the bottom line is it's just something we feel like we owe to the community, because we're called to do things like that. We want to be the hand and feet of Christ. We're a very open, religious based company. Some people discredit us for that and like to accuse us of like, oh, they're just doing that to say. No, I mean, we give tens of thousands of dollars of what we make towards the mission fund. I mean, it's part of what we do, and we're not shy about it. We did a billboard. My parents did a billboard way back in the day that said, "We are healthy, wealthy, wise, good looking, and a major blessing." We didn't say that trying to be bodacious or braggy. It was a comment or a statement that our pastor had made. He would say it at the end of every single service. He'd say, "Repeat after me," and then everybody would say, "We're good looking, we're wise, we're great," all these type things. And so we made it. We got so much flack for that, saying, "Oh, you guys are just brag." No, it's just we speak confidence into what we are, and we're firm believers in speaking things into existence and having confidence and having faith. And my parents, they are the most faith-driven people that I know. I mean, back in 2007, 2008, 2009, those were some of the hardest years to own a company, period. A lot of people went out of business. We didn't have to lay off a single person during that time. We had some rough moments as far as, having to get a loan and take money out, things that, anybody would be embarrassed to talk about. We're not. We were led by faith. I'm so proud of them for sticking in there, working hard, grinding it out. They invested money. I mean, they gave money to the church, over 50 grand worth of product, because they were building a new building. Didn't even have the money to pay for the product. Jake would have been like, "Guys, where's my money? Where I gave you the product. I need to get paid." "Jake, I'm sorry, we don't have it." It was almost like that. And sure enough, the year after that, we had one of the most record-breaking years in company history. The year after that, broke that record. The third year after that, broke that record. It's like sometimes you have to sow a seed and then you'll reap the harvest. So we're a big believer in having faith and just letting God lead us. And we're a very spiritual, family, but we're also just a driven company that way too. Some people respect it and some people love it. Some people are like, "What a joke." To those people that say that or think that, we pray for you. We bless you. We bless and release is what my mom
That's
says.
right.
We love you anyway, but we are who we are. We're not ashamed of it. We have a cross in the front of our office, a 10 commandment sign. If you think that we're faking it, you don't know us very well. So
That's awesome. And so talk to me, about this, a reputation that you have with your customers, right? What do you think the difference is? Like, I see this because so many times growing up in a family alarm business, when something went wrong, I was aware of it, right? Like as a
Yeah,
kid, I remember whenever something went really wrong with a customer, I would become aware of it because it would probably inevitably come up around dinner time or in the evening or something like this. Talk to
sure.
me about the Pennington and Trim commitment to
Mhm.
your customer satisfaction and reputation and what you guys do and how you handle things when something might go wrong with a customer.
Sure. So I'll give you a prime example because it literally just happened last night. So I try to be about as reachable and approachable by anybody as possible. If you've got my number or my email, you can text me or call me. And I don't always answer calls. In fact, I'm probably one of the world's worst about answering calls because I'm constantly busy. I'm doing inside quotes or I'm on calls like these or
Sure.
I'm, talking to people. So I'm not the best at that. But if you call me, you're going to get a call back within the next 24 hours. That's who I am. I can't stand seeing red dots on my phone at any given point. I'm OCD about it. If you text me, my goal is to respond to you just as quickly as possible. If you email me, I'm going to try to respond to you as quickly as possible. Even when I'm on vacation, my wife gets mad at me because I respond to emails. I feel like a doctor. If somebody's sick, I want to help them. If somebody has a problem with their alarm, I want to help them. I just can't help it. It's second nature. I got that from my dad. I struggle at saying no. So last night, we just took over a very large access control account not too long ago, and they were having issues with one of the doors. And so he texted me and said, "Hey, Josh, I'd really like to have a conversation with you. Your guy's messed up." And so again, you're a family-owned company. It's my responsibility to make things right. And so last night, obviously, I'm a big Ole Miss fan. For those of you that do not know, I did see the Miami emblem, by the way. I'm not a fan of that, but I was watching the game last night. Obviously, it did not go the way I'd hoped. But in the midst of watching the biggest game of the year for an Ole Miss fan, I'm sitting there texting and emailing a client because of problems.
Yeah.
That is the life of an owner. That is the life of a second gen that wants to make their parents proud and take care of concerns or problems when they come in as quickly as possible. I respond to emails at 10 o'clock while laying in bed. It's just part of the nature of owning a business or coming into ownership of a business. I did that stuff when I was still very young and I wasn't even in remotely close to the role that I'm in now. It takes a person that really truly cares about their job that is willing to be able to do those extra mile steps to show a customer that they care.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. If you're not doing those things, I think it truly hurts, your potential chance at being able to grow your business, because the bottom line is customer care, customer support. That's the edge that you set. That's the ability to show people I'm better, not just than other local companies, because I don't like saying that. I think we have a lot of great local companies that are around us. I hate even competing against them because I love all of those guys. I try to have good relationships with them. But national companies, I try very, very hard to say I have the edge on them. You want to tell me why? If you've ever watched The Office, when Jim and Dwight go into this person's office and say, "Hey, we're going to call this national company, and then we're going to call our office and talk to Kelly." That's the difference setter that I want to be. I want to make sure that if you call my office, you're talking to a real person within seconds. You're not getting a switchboard. You're not getting that. If you text me, I want you to get a valued response that I care about you and I'm going to help you in any way that I possibly can. And I think that goes the longest possible way. So quick response, show them that you care, and make sure they feel heard. And if you do those three things, I think you're doing it the right way.
I heard something the other day. It was that the best ability is availability, right? When
Yep,
somebody needs something,
absolutely.
you being available, being there to support them. I just think it's funny you mentioned, answering the emails, and we have Podium at the office here, which is like a
Same.
text messaging platform.
Yep,
And I'll
same.
tell you, I'll let you guys in on a secret. If you text Podium after hours, and somebody's responding at like 10 o'clock at night, it's probably me. Like I'm in there responding to like customers' Podium messages. My wife is, she's on the fence
Yep,
about, what she thinks about that. But, we do what we've got to do, right? Because the best ability
that's
is
it.
availability. I certainly don't
Yeah.
have the knowledge ability, but the availability I've got somewhat down. So talk to me about growth strategies, the future of Pennington and Trim. Are you going to do what you've been doing to grow things? Or, what do you see as the biggest potential for Pennington and Trim to continue to grow over the next few years?
That's a great question, Jake. We've always had a goal. In fact, we've been close to accommodating some of that goal over the past few years. But obviously, with the way interest rates are, and you have to make good business decisions at good times. I think God timing is the best timing, and so sometimes it just didn't feel right. But we would love to eventually have a separate branch, or maybe even two separate branches in the state of Mississippi. We do want to be the biggest that we can be in the state so that we can accommodate all of our customers. We don't go outside of state lines. We don't do Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee. As much as I would like to eventually do that, it's just not our primary goal right now. I want to make sure, as I said, customer service is key. It's critical to me. I want to make sure that we can provide the best possible service to people throughout the state. And being centralized in Mississippi, we can go to Tupelo, we can go to Corinth, we can go down to Gulfport and Biloxi, but it's harder because it's a 3-hour drive and you haven't even turned a screwdriver yet. So, it would be nice to eventually have a branch in the north, probably South Haven, something like that, and then something down on the coast in Gulfport or Biloxi, something along those lines. And that way we could service those areas a lot quicker, more efficiently, more effectively. But that's kind of future looking at goals, what I would like to eventually see happen. I'm still very early on in my career here. I'm only 36, and so I'd like to give this at least another 30 years, potentially more. I love work. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, and so I can't really see a day and time where I wouldn't be doing this. Maybe eventually be like my dad and be able to take a step away when I wanted to at any given time. That would be nice. But bottom line is that I think that eventual goals, that's what I would like to see happen. I do slowly but surely see a bit of a shift in our industry. I think it's becoming very commercial driven. I think that commercial is where we can continue to show, our professional expertise, that we can install this the way it needs to be done and give you the service that you require and need. Whereas residential, there's such a DIY marketplace there now, and so many things that you can purchase online for a significantly cheaper price. I think it's hurting the professional sales ability for that marketplace. It's not dying. It's not gone completely. There's still a market for it, but it's definitely decreasing. I spoke to a few industry leaders that I have a lot of trust in that have said similar things about the industry and the way it's going to continue to lean and grow towards. I think RVM with remote video monitoring is going to be huge over the next few years. Video verification is going to continue to get bigger. I think video is something that's going to continue to pop off as we, get more in that scale, in that realm, commercial wise and even residential wise, because police stations are starting to figure out we don't want to respond unless you have physical evidence that someone's there. And so we're starting to see more and more of that. Of course, you've pushed the big red trailer, old big red. And so, I think those are going to continue to get bigger. I think they're built for more specific marketplaces. I wish I could sell the crap out of them in Mississippi, but it's just not a great market for that. And so, but I think other areas are going to continue to see that be valued. So I think looking ahead, I think commercial is the way to continue to lean with access and cameras and a professional format of security that you can provide to your clients.
Yeah, you touched on, commercial being a place where you can demonstrate your expertise. I think that the value we provide is in our ability to solve for complexity. And in commercial environments, we're talking about more complex systems where you can provide solutions that solve for that complexity. I do predict, though, as police dispatch will depend more and more on scored alarms, right, with AVS-01.
Yep.
I do predict that the complexity of residential systems with alarm response, with actual police response, will require a professional, but we're probably a little bit away from that. But I think it's good news.
I agree.
I want to thank you. I try to keep this to an hour.
Yeah.
And so if there's the 15-second one piece of advice that you'd give folks in a family alarm business, what's that one piece of advice that you'd give them?
Be patient with each other. Try to find times where you can shut work off. I know that's really, really hard to do. I know a lot of companies that have family-owned operations, and it can be very challenging, very trial-based. And, you go on trips, and it's hard to shut work off. Really try hard to take business trips together. Try to take family trips together. There is a difference. Don't get it crossed. Don't get it twisted. Try to separate as much as you can. Try to use emails as a form of communication versus calling and saying, hey, Dad, we definitely need to do this, or hey, Mom, we should really do this. email, give them time to process. As a younger person, don't try to force your parent that's very traditional based, very set in their ways of knowing this is what's worked for 30 years. I don't want to change it. Send an email. Think about what you say it professionally. Have good input about why you think we should make that change. We were going to make changes in our company and we knew it was going to happen, but it was a matter of us all being on the same page and doing it in the right timing. And I didn't see that in the early days. I do now. And so be willing to grow with each other, be willing to mature that working relationship over time. But be patient with each other, be forgiving with each other, continue to love each other. Don't let business ruin the love that you have for each other. I absolutely respect, admire, and adore my parents. Couldn't ask for better parents, but they're also phenomenal bosses. And anybody that works for us will probably tell you the same thing. They're great people to work for, people that are in the industry. They know them quite well too. They're just good people. And so I'm very, very blessed, very grateful to have them as parents and as bosses. And everything I do moving forward, it's honestly to honor them and respect them and try to grow in their shoes, because I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in without my dad working his butt off to get us where we are and my mom helping him along the way. So very grateful for them and people like you that make my job fun to do, because, having good relationships like what me and you have, it makes this job that much more fun and entertaining, and it makes it worth coming back to continue to do. So
It sure does. It sure does. And thank you, Josh. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your partnership. We appreciate the opportunity to serve Pennington and Trim. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your experiences here. Guys,
absolutely.
If you are looking for something to do this year to just have an impact on your business, one very small thing that I hope you'll consider is joining us for these coffee break calls. We have them every Friday at 11 a.m. If there's a subject that you want to discuss, feel free to email it into me. Whether you do business with us or not, you're always welcome on these coffee break calls. If you do business with us, I want to thank you for it. If you don't do business with us and you'd like to learn more about how we might support you as a distributor and print your logo on the products that you install, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. But either way, you're always welcome here. Josh, again,
get branded
thank you
and
so
blessed,
much.
man.
That's
branded
right.
and blessed. Let's go.
Guys,
I just one quick plug. Jake is one of the most sincere people you'll ever talk to in your life, not just in this industry, but just in general. He is an easy person to do business with. And as I said before, and this is an honest to God statement, they very rarely make mistakes. So if you want to do business with a great distributor, there are many out there, and I'm not saying that the other ones don't do a good job, but I can promise you Jake does a phenomenal job. So give him a chance if you're not.
Thank you so much, Josh. Happy New Year, everyone.